What is up, y'all? Welcome to our first YouTube video for,
The Walk and Talk podcast.
and we'll be using this content and repurposing across our own channels. And the goal is to really just equip everyone listening out there with the tools and knowledge from our experience starting entrepreneurship, this agency, learning how to create content, and just all the challenges that come with like getting into the world of business and starting your own business. So I hope this provides you value. And yeah, Bruno, any thoughts here, or just like what do you hope to like really bring to the table here?
At the end of the day, what I really want to do with this video is to just get across that the most hardest part about starting any business is just literally getting started. And you'll see that through our journey, hopefully you can learn some things. Of course, we're mostly focused on digital marketing agency, digital marketing, whatever one works better. But in any case, any business you want to really get into, is about really just getting started and learning as you go along, because at the end of the day the best teacher is experience. And so hopefully we can share with you guys actually how we got to where we are today. Yeah.
So flashback, Bruno and I, we went to middle school and we reconnected probably about like a year and a half ago. Maybe just about a
No,
year,
just a
right?
year, bro. Yeah.
Geez, see, it feels a lot longer, obviously, but really we just kind of connected just to catch up. I was working full time. I think Bruno was working too, and we were kind of like lost in the sense that like we were just doing enough to get by, but we knew that both of us really enjoyed like media and films. And so I think that just brought back the friendship again, was because we both really love media. We just started to realize that we had a lot of similar interests, and it was really interesting to see that like those interests are what kind of brought us together to just like meet after middle school and all these years. But yeah, it just slowly started to transition to like just making content for fun, and then starting to like do it for other businesses, and then starting to see that like really help businesses. And then now we are like, I guess, fully committed to seeing the value of like, hey, if we kind of keep going at this, then we might have something fruitful. And it's only been a few months. It's like May, and we started this since like December, and it's like pretty awesome to see. But it's definitely not easy, and maybe we make it look easy, but there's a lot of like downsides, there's a lot of challenges that we've gotten to this point. And I know like that's just the pinnacle, but I don't know, that kind of just sums up like the growth that we've seen in ourselves
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah, it really just stemmed from our passions at first. And like Mateo said, when we connected, we realized that we had a lot of similar interests. I messaged him because I saw he was taking a road trip to drop off Andres actually at San Jose.
Yes.
And like I
North
had
of
on
one.
and off, like I noticed, like I think it was mostly on face. Actually, yeah, I think it was on Facebook for some reason. I don't know why. I don't really go on Facebook very often, but for some reason, when I logged in one day, one of your videos popped up, and I was like, oh, he's like doing like just content, and I was like, that's cool. Like not many people I know are really into that sort of thing. Like it's like more like a YouTuber thing I always think of, and I was like, that's cool. So Mateo's doing something, and then that day happened, and so I reached out to you. And we realized we're both kind of like similar in the sense that we're just like filmmaking, and content creation. And so that's what really sparked the interest in making our passion into some sort of career. And of course, we weren't really sure what we were going to do. I think we both knew we wanted to do like YouTube and social media in general, so like Instagram, LinkedIn content, because that's where all the organic reaches, especially LinkedIn and TikTok. And we were both also very ready to like make a new chapter for ourselves, because I know you were still working at the ed tech
Tech
sale.
companies,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like it was interesting that like to see you go from that, and then we've fully transitioned, I would say January, but yeah, we started basically end of December, start of this year, 2021, to like fully dive into social media marketing. Yeah.
And it's crazy because like we're nowhere near like sustainable. I don't want anyone to come across like, yeah, we built Apple in 5 months. But I think it's just fun to really see the fruits of your labor. Like digital marketing is very new, but like, our generation can really understand it. And it's really like it's testing. It's a combination of like art with practical technical skills like editing and knowing how to use videos. But like if you like making videos, or you like certain industries, like I don't know, content is like at almost at the cusp of something that's very new for people. To think that you can make a career out of making content, or having a hand in some part of the process that makes a finished product, whether that's like a video clip for an Instagram or a movie or just any sort of media. And I've started to notice like LA is a lot of opportunities
Oh yeah, definitely.
for all of this work. So I don't know. It's just I think it's a combination of us just being in LA, being passionate about like filmmaking. And I think it's just taking basic fundamental business skills I think anyone can learn and incorporating it in yourself and doing it for yourself. Like, I don't know, there's just
Mhm.
something rewarding about that. But it all started off with like a DM. I think what's really powerful is like
That's
we
crazy.
just DM'd our first client asking them if they needed help with their social marketing, social media marketing. And it's because they were doing a lot of pamphlets. So it's just like something as simple as like going in your mailbox right now and seeing like who's sending you paper mailers still and then asking them if they'd be open to try. I mean, just the barrier of entry for digital marketing as a career is extremely low right now, especially with COVID. So I don't know, just to kind of see like that's all it takes really for anyone to start. And all the equipment that we have now, I mean, we started with one gimbal.
We started with nothing. We started with two phones and, like you said, the one gimbal that barely can hold my phone's weight, which was pretty funny because I
Hmm.
had the
Let's see
iPhone
if we have
12.
it here actually.
Yeah.
So it
No,
looks
actually,
something
I
like
have it.
this. Yeah, but it looks something like this. It's a
Yeah.
DJI gimbal,
It was the
and this
Gen
costs
3.
like $150. And I think if we think of like really valuable assets that we had starting off was like
This
literally
one.
spending $150 for one of these, and this is what allowed us to get our first client, which we did exclusively on iPhone. We didn't even
Have a
have
DSLR. Yeah.
there's no need to overcomplicate it as long as you have the will and desire to like experiment
Yep.
with other people's business and brands.
Hmm. What I admired about you too is that you know more of like the business development side. I'm not gonna lie, I would probably be lost without this guy. I mean, I would just be doing basic emails and stuff, and even then, he kind of taught me better, like following up and the importance of that because that's something that's extremely important when it comes to lead generation, which is something I have to learn because I'm also getting my
Yeah.
real estate license, which also, in a sense, every book I read on it, bro, it's crazy. They always say the same thing. Real estate is a lead generation business. That's all it is. And I'm like, that's kind of true. And then the book even talked about like how most businesses, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, it's just lead generation. And I was like, that's actually kind of true. So like that's a very fundamental, important skill that I didn't have, but Mateo was pretty good at. It was just amazing. Like I said, he already kind of told the story, but it was just from a DM. Like that just goes to show the power of just cold emailing, cold DMing, cold whatever, just reaching out to people and asking. Because you'd be surprised if you ask, you actually might get what you're looking for. And when you show initiative like that, people have a little more respect. I know people don't like to be sold. There's like an anti-salesy thing, and I get that. But at the end of the day, reaching out and like showing that you can provide value is not the same thing as being like overly salesy. So honestly, like I said, I admire about you, and like you're really good about the business development side. I'm more of like the film side.
Yeah.
But even then, like I
Right.
feel like I was barely as important to the beginning of this project than Mateo was. So that's all I gotta say about that, really.
I think it's a combination of like think about it. If all you really need is a small group of individuals, an
Mhm.
editor, someone who can handle lead gen, and then someone who could handle like back end processes or just other stuff like that. But a 3-person team. I mean, I think what we've noticed is there needs to be a diverse set of skill sets to build something.
Absolutely.
So like if I could just handle prospecting and that's what I try to add value, and then Bruno is really good on editing. He's really good at he knows how to use these programs extremely quick. He knows what to focus on the camera, and then we have another guy, Abe, who's awesome with back end processes and booming. And so we've really been able to like find our cadence and rhythm on this like little team, as opposed to all of us doing like the same thing. Or I think it's really easy to have someone that's really good at camera stuff,
Yeah.
but then you also need someone who can convey the value of what you do to a business, which is almost just like talking and the
Yeah.
communication of business.
Yeah, the social aspect of business development, it cannot be understated. And I feel you learned in college about sales, and that's what your past career options have been mainly focused on, right? Like, which is like
Yeah.
cold calling and stuff. So you had a lot of experience in that. And then I'm like the opposite. Like you were talking about how I've experience in like Adobe Premiere and stuff. It's like these past years I was on and off making YouTube videos, but even during that time span, I was like learning the program and getting quite comfortable with it. So Like you said, it was kind of like a match made in heaven, like how we met up and like how our skills aligned to allow us to even start this company and start making some money. It's the start, and it's at least we're our own bosses, which is what I love so much about entrepreneurship.
Flexibility, you can't beat
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and that's why I'm like really grateful that we were able to like actually get started. And look where we are now. We got like lights. We'll show you maybe on the B-roll. We got a whole studio set up in his office right now, which is hilarious.
This is
And
the
it,
incubator right here.
yeah, straight up incubation right now. And it's crazy because once again, remind you, we started with just our phones and a gimbal. We didn't have mics, we didn't have labs, we didn't have boom mics, we didn't have light stands, we didn't have anything. And all the business we've gotten has just funneled back into our business in terms of just
Just the
improving.
investments.
Yeah, investing back into our business. Boom. Like now the quality production is so much better. We're going to be able to get better clients. We're learning new skills. Actually, that's something I wanted to ask you about. Ever since we started this company, I've been very adamant, at least on my end, in just trying to learn more about like filmmaking and like improving our skills. What do you say about that? Have you done anything on your end to like improve your skills? How are you about like the educational side about entrepreneurship and always seeking to improve?
I think for me, it's always asking my clients like how I can be better and how I can serve them. I think I don't know. I just love failing because it's gonna allow me to grow and learn from that. So I think I definitely consume a lot of the videos that this guy sends me. I actually think the best way to like hone in on your skills is like consume content. So if you're in the digital marketing space, you really need to like consume the trends as like a consumer. So like R&D for me is like going through my feed and like going through TikTok, seeing like what's popping, what's I think it's about like your craft. Like I love sales, business development, and then like content marketing. And so like I'm always going to diverge in some sort of material around that daily. I think it varies off of different people, but like I love LinkedIn also, just like scrolling through your LinkedIn feed.
Surprisingly, yeah. So LinkedIn is actually a very valuable resource, I've noticed.
Yeah, motivational or just like there's a lot of salespeople I'm connected with, and I think there's a lot of value in like learning like how I can incorporate the stuff that I learned in a corporate sales world into like your personal business, right? Because most of the time we were employees, so we were working under this large corporation. But now if your name's on it or your reputation's on the line or like you basically own more of the means of this like business, then maybe do you take it more seriously? Do you like how can those skills translate? So I would say for me it's like watching Gary Vee. He helps me a lot every day. So I don't know, like the future, Chris Do, great resources. So like see who's a leader in what you want to do right now, and then like consume their content because they're doing a really good job also to like prepare you as much as we're trying to like help you. You know what I mean? So that's my like thought process around it.
No, it's so true. Like, and that's why I'm glad you brought up the Gary Vee thing because I would say that's it's not like conventional education in the sense that you're learning a particular skill, but he gives a very nice mindset and attitude that comes with business development, especially in the digital marketing age that we live in, which has been absolutely invaluable. Like that's actually how I start most of my mornings is I'll just wake up, I go for my morning walk around the neighborhood, and which ends up being like 25-minute walk, just something to calm me down and start my day off calm. And what I like to do is actually just listen to like a Gary Vee podcast while I do that. And it really like sets the tone for me for the day. It's like, he had talked about hustle. Now, not in the negative connotation where it's like you overwork yourself, but just about, work ethic is the word he uses now. And he talks about so many other things, patience, kindness, compassion, you know what I mean? Like all these things that you normally don't hear or associate with a business context, but is quite applicable, especially in this stage where there's such an emphasis on brand and a personal connection, especially through social media, because people can see through the bullshit. There's a lot of inauthenticity out there. People are seeing through that, and so the real winners are those who like really show their authentic selves
Yeah,
and
play
are
their
providing
part.
value. So like that's what I'm always thinking about when I think about like content now. And that's what another point that you brought up, which was funny, is that it's true. Like since our careers are in content creation, watching content is also part of like the learning process because I'm always like watching content now with a mindset of like, what can I learn from this? What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? Or what can I do better? And stuff like that. So it's funny. Whenever I watch content, I'm always in like a learning mode, which is kind of lucky byproduct of this industry, but you can apply that to any industry you're in. So like if you're interested in like cutting hair, it's like now it's like when you watch videos about cutting hair, or you watch vlogs about like a salon and how she runs her business, it's like now you're learning still too. And so it's just like fun to like really dive into that world, especially in the world we're in, because content creation is every social media platform really.
Yeah. I think another big part in this video too is just risk, because I think risk is different to everyone. For me, risk is the money I lose on if this thing doesn't work out. But I think it's also just like being thankful of the opportunity. So I'm luckily that I got to move back home. I have two amazing parents. Bruno lives at home too, and like we're able to like take these risks when we're 25 and just
Yeah.
see how this works out. I don't think there's a better time to do this now as opposed to like 10 years from now. It's going to be a lot more difficult. And so just being understanding that like worst case scenario, we try this out for 2 to 5 years and it doesn't work out, we still can go and get a job because we both have degrees, we both have wonderful parents, and we're thankful for this opportunity. So just being understanding of your situation. Obviously everyone is different, but like what is risk to you? And like we wake up every day and like some days we work harder than others, some days we work extremely late or different hours or based off of the client's needs. That's like the lifestyle. But we love the flexibility. I wake up every day and we actually enjoy what we do, and it's taken a long while to get here, and there's good days and bad days. But just understanding like what is risk to you, and like can you take these risks? Do you have those like I don't know, those safety nets? And that's okay. And be just understand like that's having a safety net is good. If you have it,
Yeah.
use your resources. So
Yeah, I'm very grateful, like Mateo said. Like we definitely are in a circumstance where we can take advantage of our youthfulness and the fact that we have a good relationship with our parents, because unfortunately not everyone has that. And so we are able to at least take this risk and take this opportunity to try to work and build this company and this brand that we're doing for ourselves. And so, definitely like having a mindset of gratitude, which is something else Gary Vee talks about, has been completely invaluable to me, and has completely made the way I approach my business and like how I approach content creation differently. It's just a whole nother level. Like it's not like what it used to be where it's like I focus on myself, or like it's not selfish anymore. When you're grateful, it's a lot easier to become selfless. And so having that gratitude is just such a good foundation for creating the business and like expanding it.
yeah, I think it's possible. Don't knock yourself till you try it, and like just believe in yourself. Like figure out what you want to do, and if it's in digital marketing, there's a lot of opportunity. It just how much are you going to put in to get out what you want in it? And I think it just starts with just having that initiative, knowing that you're going to start off with the most bare bones things ever, but like hey, it worked out for us, and I think we're a decent case study there, and we're still growing. So I hope you just continue to watch our story, and just see how we just try to repeat this process, and just share this with you guys out there too. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the podcast here. We're going to be releasing a ton of more video and audio experiences. So this is the Maddie and Bruno audio experience. But thank you guys for checking this out, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Ciao.